Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. And today's video, we are going to be doing the very first episode of Rankings in Among Us. You guys really love Among Us on the channel. I've only uploaded it very little, but I decided to start incorporating it more on the channel, so this will hopefully be one of many episodes to come of a ranking series here in Among Us. You guys really enjoyed the ranking series for Left 4 Dead. I want to expand it on another game, which you guys really enjoy. So hopefully you guys will end up enjoying today's video, and if you do, please show your support for the brand new series to let me know if you want to see more by dropping a like, comment, and subscribe. That way you can tell me and YouTube, hey, we want to see more of this, please make more of it, and I'd be more than happy to do so. And feel free in the comment section down below to let me know what ranking you would like to see in Among Us next time. But anyways guys, let's rank all the tasks in Among Us. Alrighty guys, so in the first spot here, obviously this is going to end up being the least favorite tasks if we're ranking them from worst to best. Now, I understand that a lot of you guys may have your favorite tasks and your least favorite tasks, but keep in mind that this list is opinion-based and that therefore my list may be different than yours, but like I said, feel free in the comment section down below to let me know what you think that the worst task in Among Us is. But coming in at the least favorite spot for me personally, this is going to end up being the Medbay Vitals. The reason why that I don't like Medbay Vitals is because it's a task that is time sensitive. For example, instead of being able to complete the task immediately, like let's say, for example, the trash, you have to wait until the vitals are done, which means you actively have to leave your task to do other ones. So, if you end up being in a pinch where this is your last task, you essentially have to wait around and do nothing. Especially, this is a pain in the butt when you're one of the last few people alive, and like let's say that you're trying to make people think you're innocent. If you are doing, let's say, vitals last, if you're walking around and you got nothing else to do, people might think that you're sus and therefore trying to go around killing people because you're not doing your tasks. And so it's up to you at the end of the day to make sure that you don't look sus. So that's why I don't like the Medbay Vitals, because first of all, it is, like I said, time sensitive, so you're kind of wasting time. It kind of puts the suspicion on you, and also as well, Medbay in general is not a good area. It is one of the worst areas in terms of you dying, because there's only one entrance in and one exit out. Therefore, you are more likely to die in Medbay than you are to die in any of the other areas, with the exceptions of a few. So that's why I honestly do not like the vitals. I understand that a lot of people might say keycard, and I also understand that a lot of people might end up saying a reactor, but trust me, vitals at the end of the day is honestly the worst. Alrighty, now coming in at the second to worst spot, this is going to be the fuel, or the fuel fill-up. The reason why I also do not like this task is because, once again, it is time sensitive, because you can't do everything in one location. You have to get the fuel at the bottom of the ship. Then, after you do that, you gotta go and you gotta drop the fuel off to the other half of the ship. And also, by the way, you have to do this twice. So you're not just doing this once, but essentially you're going from one spot to another spot that you were just at, to another one again. So essentially all it is just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And therefore, if you end up following people, or you just happen to be like following an area that happens to have high traffic, you're not going to really be able to end up not looking suspicious. This is one of those other tasks that I feel like puts the suspicion back on you, even if you're completely innocent, because you're walking around doing nothing. The other tasks usually involve you standing still at a designated area for a certain amount of time, and this one just makes you look like a chicken with your head cut off just running around the whole entire ship. So that's personally why I don't like it. I understand that there's some tasks that are only designated for one area, and some that are multiple throughout the whole entire ship, but for me in particular, I just do not like this one. Alrighty, coming in at the next spot, this is a task I like to end up calling the electrical stopwatches. So this is a task that is in electrical, where you have 3 stopwatches that you gotta line up the little levers and end up clicking, so that way they stop on the spot that you need them to be. You have to do all 3 of these in a row without messing up, otherwise you have to start over. And I rank this so low is because it is in electrical. Electrical is one of the worst spots to be in on the skilled if you are a crewmate, because that's most likely where you're going to end up dying, and that's why I rank where it is. It's literally based off of location alone. The task itself is fine. It's very hard to actually end up messing this up, but the fact that it's so far into electrical you are more likely to die just because of the location alone, more than anything. Alrighty, coming into the next spot, and you were probably going to be expecting this at some point in the video, because trust me, this is not going to be anywhere close to a best task, but this is going to be, of course, the key card. The key card in Among Us is super finicky, and nobody really likes it. I don't know about you guys, whether or not that you personally play on, like, let's say, Among Us on the Switch or Among Us on mobile devices, but I personally play it on the PC, although I have had my experience at least on mobile. And I feel like the harder that you're ending up having experience with the keycard, it's usually related to platform. I feel like on PC, it's the easiest to get done because you have a mouse and you can click and drag. But using your finger on, like, let's say your smartphone, that's a pain in the butt. I've not personally used the Switch version of the game because I haven't needed it. But I'm assuming that you can just use the Joy-Cons. But with Joy-Con drift, I don't think that would be in your favor. So I would say it's the easiest on PC and then really not good on the Switch or mobile. So with the fact that there's just so many finicky bugs with all the other platforms, and also that the keycard in general is just super difficult, that's why the keycard is here. And like a lot of us end up paying keycard, trust me, it's not a popular one. Alrighty, coming into the next spot, this is going to end up being the download. So with download is one of our first few tasks that are in more than one location, for the most part, on the ship. The ship, and to keep in mind, is that this is going to be obviously based off of Skilled, based off the title that you were seeing for the video. What the thing is with the download task on Skilled, basically the reason why that I don't personally like download all that much is because it takes up a giant portion of your screen. A lot of the tasks in this game, obviously, yes, do this, because that's kind of what they're meant to do. But download, obviously, even though it does that, unfortunately, one of the things it just does is just it takes so long because you're watching a bar going from left to right, and all you're doing is just basically blinding yourself to any possible imposter coming to hack and slash you. And also in general is that since download is all over the ship, you might end up getting download in an unlucky area, like let's say at the bottom of the ship compared to the top half of the ship. Like let's say the best spot would be like cafeteria, whereas the worst spot would end up being like an electrical. You don't want to have download in somewhere like electrical because that's where you're most likely going to get killed, and it's just not fun. So it's going to be subjective depending on what area you are, and so that's why I have to rank the task lower, because if you do end up getting in a spot where it's like, let's say in somewhere like electrical, you're kind of screwed. You either have this task be really good or really bad being in your favor, and because of that, I can't rank it really high, so I kind of just have to rank it somewhere down the middle / lower middle, if that makes any sense. Alright, coming in the next spot, this is going to end up being the vent leaves in O2. So with the vent leaves, this is similar to the trash, but the problem is, though, is that this task basically, once again, takes up your whole entire screen, and it's easier with, obviously, a mouse, but if you're playing on the Switch, or if you're playing on mobile, it can be very, very difficult, and unfortunately, the problem with this is, though, is that even though it's really only in a somewhat bad area, not the worst, like, O2 is not the worst location for you to get killed. If you get killed, you're most likely going to have the imposter get busted anyways, but no one likes dying. I would say that this task, if it was in any other location, would definitely be a lot worse, but because of its location, I have to rank it up still a little bit higher. But in general, I don't like tasks that just take up the whole entire screen, especially if they take long, and also as well that they're just prone to bugs. If the keycard, for example, didn't have its bugs, especially even platform-specific bugs, then it would be definitely a lot better, but that's just not the way it is. So that's why I'm ranking the leaves the way they are, and now we move on to the next spot. Alrighty, so now this one I feel like is going to be a little bit of a PTSD trigger for a lot of people, because I know some people are just not this lucky with this task, but this is going to end up being Simon Says. So with Simon Says, the way that Simon Says works is that it's literally like the traditional Simon Says, but the way that it works in Among Us is that you have these 9 little squares, and you just have to end up getting a combo of 5, and you have to get them in the right order. So it'll be like, let's say, middle square, middle square, middle square, upper square, or lower square, and you have to copy that the whole entire way through. But the issue with Simon Says is that it is in Reactor, and the problem is, though, is that with Reactor, it's kind of off to the side, and it's gigantic, so even though it's in the middle, and you're more likely to get killed on, like, say, the upper or the bottom half of Reactor, even though, yes, you are in the middle, and Cams is right by, which is kind of a high-traffic camping spot / area in general, it's off far enough that nobody would really know you're in there, and plus also there's vents on both the upper and the lower part of Reactor, so there's nothing stopping the imposter from taking the vent and not exposing himself. So even though the area is kind of safe being your cams, with the vents being there, it's too easy for the imposter to kill you and go back in the vent. If you had to go around and have it like be a one-way exit, that would be different, but that's just not the case. So since the imposter has a lot of room to work with him being careful and kind of practically being able to spy on you and time his kill, the task also just takes too long. So therefore, with the fact that you're just sitting there like a duck, you really can't say that this task is worth your time. Plus also, some people just have bad memory skills and they just can't get this task to save their own life. Okay, so now coming at the next spot, and keep in mind, I'm not really familiar with the Among Us terminology. I play this game very casually, but I am working on playing on it more. But the way that I would word this task is, I call this the electrical switch that goes up. So basically, this would be the one, for example, that you would see in the actual location called electrical. That's literally the one switch that you flick up to, like, not quite turn on the power, but make the yellow electricity bar fill up again. There's like 9 switches, and you flick one up, and that's the whole entire task. The reason why I rank it so low, though, despite it being incredibly easy, incredibly being quick as well, is that it's located in electrical, which for me personally is one of the worst locations in the game. I think that electrical, honestly, is where you're going to get killed the most in Among Us, specifically, at least on the skilled, because with electrical and the skilled, the area is so big and so dark, especially if the lights also get turned off and if the door is closed, one of those two. It's very easy for the imposter to end up killing you in there, and nobody will be the wiser because the way that the camera angles are, the only way you're going to see a body in there is from the bottom, going through the door, at least a little bit of ways, and sometimes you have to go into electrical completely because sometimes the body dies up top, which is where that one switch is. So, since that one switch is so far up, the only way your body will be found by a crewmate is if they go in themselves and risks their lives and just happens to have a task there, and then they go up there and they're like, hey, I found your body. So, I honestly do not like electrical to begin with, and the fact that this switch is located in that area just makes it not fun. So that's why I rank it where it is. Now let's move on to the next spot. Alrighty, so coming in the next spot, this is going to be the number pad, which is located in the reactor. So with the number pad, it is slightly better than Simon Says because you can do this a lot quicker. All you gotta do is just click the numbers 1 through 10 in order, and so basically what you gotta do is you gotta go 1 through 10, and then if you're quick enough, you can just get out of there. And it's also in a little bit of a better spot. It's a little bit higher than Simon Says, but not quite. So you can still be sort of in the middle and be more safe. And the only real way that you can get killed is if someone vents and kind of goes for the top vent. Because going for the bottom vent would be kind of risky because they would have to peek out far enough that they would have to expose themselves. And plus also cutting through the hallway would just not be a smart idea. So you're a little bit more safe, and it's a little bit better than I would say that the Simon Says task is. But it's not quite as good. You still are prone to error, just human error, by the way. So this task you might mess up on, because if you mess up once, you have to start all over. And the numbers are out of order, so it's not like just 1 through 10, just in a subsequent line. You have to go and click them out of order. So depending on how fast you are, this is going to be basically prone to human error, whether or not you're going to die. And unfortunately, a lot of people in this game can sometimes panic, and that's what gets them killed. That's why nobody likes the key card, because it's prone to human error, and if you have a lot of human error, it results in your death. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I just thought I would explain my reasoning. But yeah, guys, that's where I put it. Now let's move on to the next spot. Alright, now for the next one. This is going to be the electrical switch that goes sideways. So you'll see what I mean when I end up getting a picture of it on the screen, but you'll know what task I'm talking about. It's the little piece of glass, that little light piece of glass that you flick sideways to keep the electrical current going, and that's what I'm ranking this task as. So the electrical switch that goes to the side. This one is located more than one location around the map, and it's in some decent locations. It's usually in the engines, but it's not only really in the engines. It's really going to just depend on how lucky you are, because this spot, or this task rather, can be a pain in the butt. It's only in a few locations. It's mostly in reactor, like I said, but there is some bad locations that you can get this thing in that can make it a pain in the butt, and I personally just don't like this task overall in general, because even though it's quick, just based off the locations alone, it's more rather likely that you're going to get killed, because I honestly think that the best locations for you to live during your tasks is somewhere in the upper half of the ship and with more than one entrance point or exit point, because then that way you're more likely to have the imposter get caught But if you have an area that's low down, kind of like faded into an area, kind of like electrical, like a dark corner, you're more likely to die. So that's why I ranked this where it is. Kind of hard to explain the reasoning behind it because some of this just comes down to luck. Some people might never get killed in these spots, but it's just based off of my personal experience alone though. Alright, now for our next task. This is going to end up being the Asteroids. So with Asteroids, I personally do not have a problem with this task. Asteroids is honestly not that bad. I kind of find it like a fun mini game within a game. You basically gotta just do point and click, simple asteroids, and it's very fun actually. It's one of my favorite tasks to do just to pass the time while I'm doing stuff, while I'm waiting for the imposter. But the thing is, though, with this task is that it just takes too long. 20 asteroids might not sound that bad, and usually it's not that bad in terms of you getting killed. It's just that it takes too long and therefore it gets boring. So I personally just don't like it for that reason. You're more likely to survive this than not. It's just that it's boring. It's really all it is, and that's just why I had to put it where I had to put it. There will be better tasks, but for the most part, we're in the better tasks overall. We're not really on the bad tasks anymore. We're just on the mediocre ones. Alrighty, coming in at the next spot, this is going to be the ship ride that you trace. So basically, this is the little zigzaggy spaceship that you point and click and you drag it through a maze. Kind of like the little cross mazes that you would see on the back of like a cereal box. You guys know exactly which task I'm talking about. The little spaceship that you just go up and down diagonally. And this task is in a much better area. I feel like you are more likely to die on the lower and the left half compared to the upper and the right half of the ship. And so since this is in the upper right, this is more likely that you're going to live, in my humble opinion. Plus also because this area, even though it's kind of secluded and only has one entrance, it's got a small hallway. So since it's got a more high traffic area, more than the other tasks, it's more likely that someone will catch the killer in their peripheral vision, because the only real way that they're going to kill you is if they vent, and the vent is kind of easy to see, especially for a crewmate walking by. So it's not the worst task at the end of the day, but it honestly is a little bit inconvenient, so that's just why I rank it where it is. Alright, now coming in at the next spot, this is going to end up being the Shield's Asteroids Click. I know this is going to sound like a really weird name, but hear me out. It's basically the little circular asteroid that you got to fill in the blank spots by clicking on the broken parts. This task is very easy. All you got to do is literally just be as fast as you can with your clicking. It's not really that intrusive. You only have to end up really risking your life for like 2 seconds, 3 seconds at the very most. It's very easy. All you gotta do is basically click 3 buttons and then you're done. It's easy. It's not like you have to end up doing like the number pad where it's out of order, and you also have to do it in a certain order to begin with. You can do this in any order you want, and they're all like within like an inch of each other. So at the end of the day, this task is really easy, and it's just only here just because I had to put it somewhere else. Alrighty, coming in at the next spot, this is the arrow lineup. So when you see the photo, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about with this task, but it is the little arrow that all you got to do is just take it from the bottom and just line it up in the middle, and then once the lines are synced, that's the end of the task. It is basically like using a laser pointer. All you got to do is just line up the laser, and then boom, you are done. So that task is relatively easy, and that's personally why I like it. But at the end of the day, there's still just a few more tasks that end up making it a lot easier for you to survive because they more are in your favor than some others. So let's talk about those because we're pretty much nearing the end. Alright, coming in at the next spot, this is going to end up being the target lineup at navigation. So with the target lineup at navigation, this one is so fast. This is one of the fastest tasks that you complete in the game. All you do is click an area on the screen and drag it to the center, and you get a little scope that can line up on a target, and that's it. It's done. The area is completely safe for the most part. You're very likely to not die here, and the task in general is fast. So since it's a fast task in a safer area, this is honestly one of the best tasks that you can do, because your chances of getting busted as the imposter is very, very high. And being a crewmate, you're more likely to survive more on this task than basically any of them in the whole entire game. Alrighty, coming into the next spot, this is going to end up being wires. So with wires, this is one of the tasks that are more around the map than others. You got a lot of wires on a variety of different parts of the ship, and all you gotta do is just line up the 4 different colored wires so that way they are in sync again. But the thing is, though, is that they're not really that difficult. They are, yes, not necessarily 100% straight, even though they can be, but all you gotta do is just, to connect them. You drag the left one to the right one, and it's relatively easy because there's only just the 4, and this one's not finicky, like, let's say, the key card or any of the other weird ones where you have to end up swiping and connecting pieces. It's not time sensitive. All you gotta do is just get the thing to reach. So since it's not really based off of a speed, and you can obviously see which color goes to what, the only real way I can see this being a problem for you is just if you got lag and the thing won't touch and connect. But it honestly is not that bad, and that's why I rank it where it is. But there's only a few more tasks left. We got 2 more tasks, and the reason why they're number 1 and number 2 is because they're going to save your life if you are in a pinch. Alrighty, so coming in at the number 2 spot, this is going to end up being Medbay Scan. The reason why that I put Medbay Scan so high on the list and put it actually at the number 2 spot is because this is one of the few tasks that's going to save your life, because it's one of the few tasks that can reveal if you're the imposter or not. So with the imposter rule, it's very easy to fake a lot of the tasks, but there's 2 tasks in particular that the imposter will get completely screwed on if they ask him to do them, because he cannot fake them. There's animations that are applied to these 2 particular tasks, and if you are the imposter, you are 100% busted. So you need to make sure that you end up making it where you're not in that situation. But if you're a crewmate and you have the sus on you, this will save your life. So if you are sus and people think that you're the imposter, if you can somehow convince them to go to you and do the Medbay Scan, it will show you and them that you are a crewmate, because of the fact that the imposters can't Medbay Scan at all, and there's a certain animation that will show you all the stats of what your guy is. So this imposter will end up getting screwed while you'll be saving your own skin, and you'll be able to survive to hopefully be the imposter yourself one day. So that's why I rank it so high, but we got one more imposter, or I guess you could say one more imposter-proof task left to go. Alrighty, so coming in at the number 1 spot, the number 1 task, and personally my particular favorite, this is going to end up being the trash. The reason why I put trash at number 1 in terms of the best task in Among Us is because the trash is another task that you can use to prove your innocence. So with the task, for example, like the medbay, if you go to the bottom of the ship and you end up pulling that switch, your crewmates will see the trash go out of the spaceship and showing that you are indeed innocent. This task will save your life. If you do not have medbay, you want to at least have this, and you want to save it specifically for instances when you're suspicious. Because if you're suspicious and you don't have these, you'll have to rely specifically on your typing or your speech. If you have these, this is blatant proof that you are innocent. An imposter will not fake the trash. Now yes, there is trash in other parts of the ship that can be easily faked because you can't see the visuals. I'm specifically talking about the one at the bottom of the ship though. Even though, yes, there is trash, and you can still get a trash location that makes it look like it's fake, if you get the one that is in your favor, that's when you're going to be good. The reason why I rank it just a little bit higher than medbay, though, is because of the location. Medbay only has one entrance in and one exit out, whereas with the trash on the lower half of the ship, the one that's important to making sure that you look innocent, you have all that space to work with. And if you get killed down there, since it's such a high traffic area because everyone's going through and in and out and everything like that, you're more likely to live, because if you end up having an imposter next to you, he wouldn't dare swing until he knows he's 100% alone with you. So if anything, he'll follow you out. And also as well, is if you end up getting into a situation where you're trying to defend yourself as you as the imposter, if this guy has done his task in front of everybody and you call him sus, you automatically lose. You need to know who has this task and know who's done it and who's even done it in front of people, because if someone's done it in front of that person, you need to be careful and not accuse them, because if you accuse them, you're busted and then the other guy is saved, or vice versa, depending on who you are. But yes, guys, at the end of the day, that is my list for all the tasks in Among Us, specifically on the skilled. If you guys ended up enjoying today's video and you guys do want to see more videos like this, please show your support by dropping a like, comment, and subscribe. And once again, feel free in the comment section down below to let me know if you guys want to see more of the Among Us rankings, more Among Us in general, and if so, what would it be? But anyways, guys, I hope you ended up enjoying today's video, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys ended up enjoying another YouTube video from the most unique YouTuber you guys are ever going to see. Peace out, guys.